Okay guys, let's talk about the difference between optimal and realistic. Okay, in martial arts and in any kind of physical training, in any kind of reality, whatever you do, you need to weigh your fantasy, your wish against reality. So I recently made a video about why I think that running is bad cardio and bad endurance training. And that is, of course, not because of what it does to your body, okay? So, running is a good thing for your body, obviously, okay? And it obviously does increase your endurance and your cardio. Um, if seen isolated, it's a good thing. But it is not isolated, okay? None of your training, none of your methods are to be seen isolated. They do not exist in a vacuum. So why I advise against running is because of how it influences the rest of your training, okay? So of course, if my only realistic opportunity is to train twice a week and then go jogging the other days, that's what I'm gonna do, okay? If I cannot do any proper strength training for whatever reasons, then I cannot do it, okay? Even though it would be wishful to do so. But it would be much better to, instead of going to run for your cardiovascular endurance, instead doing more martial arts training, okay? So in your martial arts class, you will have a lot of cardio, probably. And if not, that class probably should be more intense. And same is true for doing bag work or pad work. There's so many other opportunities to work on your cardiovascular endurance that on top of enhancing your cardiovascular endurance also increase your fighting capacity. So it's much more advisable to do those. And then some of you might come and say, but Peter, you could also run on top of that. And you could not. That's true. That's not true. That's an illusion. Because if you could, that means you still have recovery capacity, and that means that the rest of your training should be more intense. You need to ask yourself, in that hour that I spent running, would I have more profit for my fighting level, for my fighting capacity, if I instead would be drilling techniques, or if I instead would be doing bag work, or doing whatever other exercise? And the answer is yes. Okay? So many times what is optimal, like running on top of doing all the other exercises, is not available. Because if you do, you will get into overtraining and you will actually negatively influence the rest of your training sessions. Okay? So you will negatively influence your martial arts training and your weight training, or your strength training, your power training. Okay? So I would advise against it. And many other times, and that's why I talked in the last video about realism versus illusion. Okay? Many times what would be the optimal solution is not available. Okay? It would be optimal to like avoid all punches with proper head movement, but it might not work. So we need to be realistic that we will probably get punched in a fight, and we need to be ready for that. Okay? It would be optimal to have it like in a kung fu movie that I snip snap and fight is over. But realistically, that's probably not gonna happen. So I need to be prepared for my techniques failing to work perfectly, and need to work on that. So to give more realism into your training and be more ready for optimum versus realistic, you need to have some kind of sparring, randori, some kind of testing where you learn to watch through the chaos, to bring order to the chaos, okay? And to react accordingly and act and proactively act accordingly in the chaotic world of fighting, of martial arts, of self-defense, okay? So that is the basics of optimum versus realistic. And of course, it is good to think about what the optimum is and how much of it we can, keyword can, apply to our reality. Okay? See you next time.